Hello, welcome to Illuminations with Tiina and Fi. I'm Fi.
And I'm Tiina.
Hello, Tiina. And in this episode, which is the second one of our series looking at the inner child, we're going to explore how Tiina and I have personally and how we have also worked with our clients on steps around healing our inner child. So Tiina, would you like to start?
Yeah, I'll move my gaze to actually look at you instead of into the camera. Good. Yes. Obviously, there's many different ways to work with inner child. I think mostly how it happens with me and my client is that we go very much inwards and we find where the inner child is actually living. And then we do lots of fantastic stuff with that. Different things work for different people, you know. Allow yourself to experiment what works for you, as in the viewer. But we mentioned John Bradshaw, and let's go there first. He did a lot of work on the inner child, and you can find lots and lots of stuff on him on YouTube. He was on Oprah a few times, and there's lectures and stuff like that. So just check him out. So I'm just going to read a little bit from my notes so that I get it right, so that I don't forget. John Bradshaw talks about reclaiming and championing your inner child. It's about healing your wounded inner child, as we talked about last time, and it's an ongoing process. It doesn't happen like that. And there's new things. You tackle one thing, and then there's another thing that materializes, and you kind of, But I think that the more you work with it, the quicker you can kind of figure out, okay, that's my inner child. As you pointed out last time, I think. So he's got 6 steps to go through. Trust. Show your inner child that you got this. Create trust with your inner child, and that you will be there for her or him through this process. Validation is the next one. Accepting your wound. Accepting that there might be shame around that. Accepting that happened and that you have reacted, and let your life be run by that event, and that's, it's okay. Just don't try and minimize it. Shock and anger. It's okay to kind of realize that, okay, that happened, and then be angry about it. It's letting that anger out. It doesn't mean that you need to scream and shout, although you might, but, just kind of being cross about it. It's okay. It happened. Next one is sadness. Allowing yourself to grieve that you had or have unfulfilled needs from childhood, and you may have had dreams that you couldn't fulfill this far, and it's okay to grieve that, to have sadness around it. Next one is remorse, and I think this one is so important. Helping the child and yourself, adult self, to see that there's nothing that you could have done differently at the time. If you're 5-year-olds and something happened, in RTT we call it being age appropriate, lifting it up and saying, hey, I was a kid, I couldn't have done anything about it. That's how it was. And then loneliness, and I think this one is very poignant. We go through our adulthood, we have these wounds, and we cover it up, we perform, we put our mask on, and we do this and that so that nobody will ever know that actually we are insecure, or we are fearful of this, that, and the other. And it's about not hiding that away, because hiding that away is also hiding away your true self and living a lie. And again, that's when I said last episode, I said freedom, the freedom to take off that mask and kind of go, hey, this is me, this is what happened. So those are the 6 steps.
Yeah, love. Yeah, one of my clients has literally taken it upon herself. I produced a guide around that, written guide, and she's gradually, I just used it as a journey kind of idea, and she's working through it, and it's really making quite a big difference for her, just understanding that process. And I think you're right, accepting is probably the first start, accepting that there is a wound or a scar. Sometimes people say to me, oh, I've done all my inner child healing work, and they're sitting in front of me quite traumatized, And it's like, gently, well, I think there might be still another splinter in there that we might need to look at. You know, so if you find that you respond to something, what's the word I'm looking for, in an over-exaggerated way maybe, or it's so personalized, they're indicators that there's some healing. You know, that you really get angry about something that's irrational. You know, it's when things are completely, it's because you're right, that's the irrational child responding. So yeah, just so that people kind of get a handle on what we're talking about in a practical way. I just remembered, actually, I did when I was in the classroom and working with teachers and around the emotional work, we used to do this activity, and I used to love doing it with the young people and the children. And it's a shield work, and it's the last number 6 step of John. I've just realised is what we're doing, and I've brought it in a bit more lately in a workshop, but also with some client work. So the front of the shield is where you give your client, or you yourself draw a front of a shield. And you know, I'm such a great artist, it looks like something of Game of Thrones. And so you draw this front of the shield, and then you draw on the back.
Yeah.
And on the front, they put everything that they portray to the world, or the world would know about them, or they would describe them as, so what the world sees. And at the back, so it's a bit like shadow work, but at the back they put what they hide from the world, what the world wouldn't know, or they wouldn't want the world to know. And of course, the back bit is often, you know, anger, temper, crying, or judgmental thoughts, or, you know, fear, vulnerability. And they're the juicy bits, aren't they? They're the bits of the hidden part of the child. Shame, you know, is attached to that. So I've just thought, so that's a lovely activity that, if you wanted, it would raise for you what might be some of the bits you're hiding, that might be the bits that need healing. You know, if you're constantly angry, you know, you might start to look at what makes you angry. You know, if it's everything, then it might be that you think back, you know, was it modeled? Were you not allowed to be angry? You know, there's all sorts of, just a little bit, because that's the understanding. Yeah, okay, that's one thing.
And also, so if we move away from anger a little bit, so that it's not all about always about anger. You know, you might be sitting in a meeting at work, and you might also always have you, as in, well, let's say me, if I go into a meeting at work and I continuously have a sinking feeling that I've done something wrong. You know, if there's something like, oh, in the company we have noticed, and I'm sitting there thinking, I've probably done something wrong. It's probably me that they're talking about. And if you notice a pattern of always thinking that I've done something, that's probably something in a child who's kind of assuming that maybe you were blamed, or maybe I was blamed at some point, or something.
And actually, that's why it's so personal, isn't it? Because, you know, that this is really helpful even for us too, because anger's obviously mine, and I don't ever feel like what you're talking about.
That's my insecurity.
Exactly. So this is where you're right. People, that it's looking at what it is, what the shadow, that side that they hide, so that they can finally take the mask off all of that, you know.
And of course, taking the mask off doesn't then mean that you're going to go and be very angry with the world, or that you're going to stand in the meeting and go, I'm so insecure in these meetings. That's what we're talking about when you say taking the mask off.
No. And what I do for me personally, and I picked this up from Peter Levine, who works in the somatic side of psychology, is the soothing pose, where you get your right arm and put it on your left side here by your boob, and then, or breast if you're a man, and then your left arm and put it here, and you just hold. And although it is about a hug, that's not what it's about. It's not a cerebral experience at all. It's about the body knowing that this is the external parts of it, and whatever's going on is being held inside. But I will use that, and I'll go, you know, it's all right, Fi, it's okay, I know what's kicking off, and I will look after us, you know, it'll be fine. And so that's the soothing part. which is definitely part of the healing, is in transactional analysis, we call it the reparenting, which I think is similar to one of the steps there that John talks about, is that ability to reparent us. You know, we don't have to walk around being that wounded child. We can heal those wounds by literally reparenting. So that's how one way. So you console and you make sure that the little person, that the child knows that you will always look after them, because you have, you know, you're the adult and you will. So that's self-soothing.
And I recently had a client who worked with an issue, and her way around was, you know, when she left for a meeting, she would go to the inner child. I will be back. You know, right. I'm not leaving you I'm not abandoning you forever. Okay. You know, I'll come back home after the meeting. You know, that's what her inner child needed to hear, so that she wouldn't be late for meetings all the time, because the inner child was going, no, it's dangerous to go to meetings, you know, because certain things have happened. So it's like, you know what, I'll be back. I'm not abandoning you. So I'm going to be okay. And actually those strategies that we might have in the end, like this one, the other way around, are fairly simple ones. We just have to find the ones that are right for us, and what our inner child needs to hear. So
yeah, and I think you know, writing, I do a lot of writing with clients, rewriting scripts, you know, writing letters to themselves as a child, you know, yeah, John's got lots of activities in there that are very similar, you know. So there's some, I mean, his book is brilliant. I mean, I'm sure it'll come out in our nuggets and top tips as a way of getting a handle on what we're talking about, but also how you can go around healing. But rewriting scripts or writing stories to yourself as a child from a loving, nurturing parent stance, or writing backwards and forwards between the wounded child and a nurturing parent. That's Penny Baker. That's the journaling work that Penny Baker talks about, and it's a beautiful activity. So if something is really troubling you, or you know, the meeting keeps coming up, it's me, you'd write as the child, and then the nurturing parent of you, which is the soothing parent, it's the loving, caring parent, would just write back and you know, offering reassurance. And that's a beautiful activity as well.
Brilliant. We're coming to the end of this. I didn't exactly see when we started, but I think that we're coming to the end.
Yeah. There's loads, and actually that's the thing, it's really, I think, I suppose for people, the question is, we got them to get to know and get to see their child by looking at a photograph last time and thinking back to times when they're safe times for them, secure times for them, not safe, secure times for them. So what do you think about today? What might we get people to think about?
Well, I think just simply maybe, you know, once you have that and you connected with it, just asking, what do you need from me as an adult now? What do you need? Doesn't have to be harder than that, you know.
Yeah, there's a beautiful, in the mirror work by Louise Hay that I think I talked about in attachment, I think.
Yeah, did.
There's a beautiful activity in there that does exactly that, where you get the photograph of you as a little one, and then you do converse with it, you know, what do you need exactly? It's a beautiful bit of work, actually.
Good. So do you want to do the end bit?
So thank you very much, Tiina.
Thank you.
And thank you to you for watching. Please do leave us a comment or a question. We invite you to join us in this discussion, and anything that's worked for you that you've used in the past or are using now, please share. And please also share this with anybody you think may appreciate understanding a bit more about their inner child. And subscribe, become part of our family.
Yes, that would be lovely. I'll see you next time.
See you next time, Tiina. Bye now.
Bye now.